had sent out an email this week to council and the mayor regarding the utility ordinances that were passed last week, and there were errors on each one. One being that the water rates, Bill 16510, the reference to the Washougal Municipal Code was the wrong code. And I did show that in the email. And Exhibit A is shown as Exhibit B. And then on the sewer, Bill 16610, Exhibit A is shown as Exhibit B. In other words, the paper said Exhibit B, but the summary page said Exhibit A, identifying what is Exhibit B. Okay. Then Bill 16710 was the stormwater, and the actual Exhibit A appears to be a red line copy of the code, and it was a proper code. However, the bi-monthly rate, which is really the one that you're identifying as Exhibit A, but it's Exhibit B, on that, the rates shown for the bi-monthly are actually the monthly. So council voted to reduce our stormwater rates in half. And I'm thinking you guys probably need to do a new bill. And that's it. Just little detail stuff. But I like that one. That was a good one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just keeping you alert.
Other members of the public wishing to address the council? Yes.
My name is Roy DeRosie. I live at 892 West E Street, and I would like to talk about Mike Briggs' nomination. I was a little disappointed that the city council didn't nominate him, or didn't approve his nomination last week. And it reminded me of a time when I was in college in Michigan. I went to Oakland University, and Senator Hart from Michigan was invited to the campus to come and speak. And when he got there, some of the students on campus decided that they were going to disrupt his speech, and they came in with horns, and they came in with drums, and were disruptive to the point where the university had them arrested. When Senator Hart found out that they were arrested, he went to the public safety department and demanded that the students be released. He said that they had a constitutional right to free speech, and he made sure that they were all released, and that they weren't, or that they were allowed to disrupt his speech, even though he never got to give his speech. And I would hope that that our city council could do the same here. He was a highly respected senator, so respected by his colleagues that they named the Senate office building after him. And I've known Mike for several years. He's one of my neighbors, and although we don't always agree on things, I do think he is very interested in this community and very interested in helping out in the community, and being a part of that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Don?
Hello, Don Bolin, 32934 Southeast 20th. And I don't know Mr. Briggs, but one of the thoughts, I just had the opportunity to maybe talk of some of the, what I feel are critical requirements for the job. And the first one I like, which won't surprise you, is that they represent the public. The other thing, a requirement would be to challenge the county and the state. I feel that I want Washougal to find its own destiny rather than just listening to the county or to the state on what we're supposed to be doing. The other requirement, I think, was you need a team builder, somebody that pulls the people together as opposed to polarizing. I do believe that city employees and government officials have a higher standard of ethics to achieve. And I guess my parents told me that, but I really learned it in the service. When I was in uniform, that was different than just being a private individual. And I didn't know so much talking about freedom of speech. I think everybody's for freedom of speech. I certainly am. But you were also responsible for what you say. Other than that, I haven't given up on the budget yet. I was hoping you might follow the presidential's lead today.
Thank you, Don. Larry?
In regards, Larry Keister, Zitzelberger Road, Washougal. In regards to the fact that Mr. Briggs was not appointed to Planning Commission last week, it isn't really the fact that he was, Mr. Briggs in particular, but by an open discussion and an exchange of ideas, we create the best direction for the future of our city. If we do not voice our opinions it shows that we do not care. We do not always agree, but a professional dialogue is critical in making the democracy work. As elected officials, you need to be able to accept some criticism. It should not affect how you vote on issues that will benefit the business of Washougal. I ask you to keep an open mind and in deciding this appointment as to how it will best affect the business of the city of Washougal.
Thank you, Larry. Richard?
Richard Hamby, Gibson Road, Washougal. I came tonight to find out what statements have been made by Mr. Briggs that should disqualify him for serving on Washougal's Planning Commission. At your last meeting, council members Russell and Shoemaker charged that Mr. Briggs has made personal attacks against them. And Councilman Russell went on to charge that Mr. Briggs was guilty of making disparaging and untrue remarks directed at the mayor, council members, and others. I've heard these same council members complain about personal attacks before in your meetings and in a letter to the editor of the Post-Record. I thought then, and I think now, that they seem to be a little thin-skinned to be in elected office. But their definition of personal attack is not clear to me. I guess the examples that will be offered by council members Russell and Shoemaker might help. These charges were made in a public meeting where those in attendance were left to wonder about Mr. Briggs' character, and Mr. Briggs had no opportunity to respond. By my definition, that was a personal attack. The definition of untrue is a lot clearer. I expect Mr. Russell will be able to back up his claim. The definition of disparaging, according to my dictionary, is belittling. I'm curious to find out from Mr. Russell which comments by Mr. Briggs have been belittling to the mayor, members of council, or developers. It's easy to find examples from your meetings where I think these two councilmen have been disparaging toward their fellow council members. Due to your format for accepting public input, I can only speculate on what this discussion will be about. Any comments or questions that are generated will have to wait for your next meeting. I do have some questions I hope will be answered in your discussion tonight. What exactly are these two council members charging? What exactly disqualifies Mr. Briggs from serving on the Planning Commission as recommended by your selection committee? Do you hold members of the community to a higher standard of behavior than you hold yourselves? Do you oppose this appointment by Mr. Briggs because he doesn't share your worldview? Do these charges represent a serious character flaw in Mr. Briggs, or are they just a thin-skinned response to hurt feelings? I'll give a copy to the mayor here.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.
Make sure Ken gets that. Any other members of the public wishing